everybody. It is myself and Comics here with an indie interview. Today we have Snake. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Great to be here, chatting to you.
Yes. And Snake is all right. Yes, because I wasn't sure. I was like, I'm seeing a couple names.
Yeah, I have a normal name, but it's like my publishing name, so just like that's just what's on the comics because it's just my writing name. But yes, I mean you can call me Scott if you really want. I don't mind either way. All good.
Awesomeness. So when I was like offered to interview you, I was like, okay, let me look into this project. And when I did that, I was seeing so many things. I was like, wait, this is on Webtoon, this is on Tapas, this is on an article called Bored Panda. Am I seeing two different people? I see one with pink hair and one with short hair. Are these the same? What's going on? And who is this person? Chance Eagly or something like that. I'm like, I'm so confused. And they're like, oh, so this is the same person. That's the publisher. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
I
Because I was like,
I, I like going out sometimes and partying, and I wear wigs. I wear crazy wigs sometimes. That's why I got different hair and stuff. And yeah, he's my publisher with Edge Comics, so they're publishing. So yeah, so that's why.
that
And I
sounds like a
just
pretty claim.
when I sort of already did the first 10 pages just as like a short, just to kind of throw it out there to publishers and get some interest. So I just bombed it all over the internet. So Tapas, Board Panda, etc., all of those things. So yeah, just the first 10 pages. So if anyone wants to read the first 10 pages that they're interested, or if anyone wants to read the 10 pages and they can't find it, you can feel free to email me, message me, and then I'm happy to show you a little taster of the comic of what's to come.
Ooh, awesomeness. Uh, I'll be asking for your socials when we get near the end. You can write them on the private chat, and then I'll put them all into the description. Is that
Brilliant.
okay?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Woot! Aha. Okay, and so we are. Ah, where are you? Ah, dang! It destroyed my link. I was on the Kickstarter, and I had to
Okay.
had to restart my computer, and it just took me out of the Kickstarter. I guess
Do you want me
punks.
to copy to you?
I got it.
Okay.
Luckily, I was already on the search bar. Whee! All right, look at this beautifulness.
Oh yeah, there we go. Wow.
The
So
view of
yeah,
the
I mean, do you
trees.
want me to? Would you like me to introduce it or something? Or
Yes, please.
sure. Okay, so it's a story called "The View of the Phoenix Trees." It's sort of a autobiographical slash fantasy kind of based comic, taking reference from Sandman, Ram V's work, like Many Deaths of Layla Starr, and also kind of elements of like Pan's Labyrinth, films like Pan's Labyrinth, and like Dark Knight, a true Batman story by Paul Dini. So it's merging in element. There's two sort of parallel sort of stories. One is about my grandparents meeting in Vietnam, them coming together, living through the Vietnam War, being exiled from Vietnam, being kicked out of the country, living on a boat for 6 months, then being shoved in a camp in Macau, and then finally settling in the UK. And while that also goes on, we also have a parallel narrative running through about Loch Lang Kwai, the Dragon King, and his fairy princess, and the Vietnamese creation story. And those two sort of mirror my grandparents' story, and that's told throughout. And that's the story, really. Yeah.
That's so sweet, but also pretty freaking cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I was like, I'll do some realist stuff, but then I was like, I gotta have some fantasy in there. I gotta have some crazy fantasy-based mythology in there. And I'm a big fan of mythology, and Vietnam. We do Greek mythology all the time because it's awesome. Yeah, but we don't really do Vietnamese mythology, and I'm quarter Chinese, quarter Vietnamese, half English. So it's kind of I've heard this story from my parents, from my mum, and a lot of people. And I just thought one day, why not? Let's just turn it into the medium of comics. Try and create a story from that. So it's kind of weird as well because I don't speak Vietnamese. So all the characters are kind of amalgamations and kind of fictionalized, really, and like parts of me, parts of my mum, parts of people I know. But I never spoke to my grandfather. it's about my grandfather, but I never spoke to him. So the events that happen are absolutely true and real. But the characters I had to kind of make up and come up with things because I just don't know them really, you know? I mean, I just have memories of my grandfather just sitting playing cards and just smiling at me, but we never spoke because he doesn't speak English, I don't speak Vietnamese, so it's kind of interesting that way.
So were you able to get like some sort of story from your parents instead?
Yeah, and a lot of photos. A lot of photos. Got still got a lot of images, and hopefully want to put them in maybe the back of the comic as well. I like giving extras to you know, readers as well in there. But yeah, basically, you know, I kind of been raised on this story from my mum, and then one day after hearing it for the millionth time or whatever, I just thought this would be really good for a comic of to create an actual story, a fictional, some kind of story and put it into a medium. And I thought comics would be perfect for it.
Oh, that's so sweet. Actually super excited. I was wondering, how were you able to find a publisher?
Sure. So I mean, I guess the story begins with, you know, I just wrote it. I was doing like a I was doing some I don't know if I can swear, so I probably I won't. But
You can swear, it's
okay.
okay.
I was in some bullshit office job, you know, and like I think I was a caretaker, and I had nothing to do, so I just sat down and wrote the whole thing one day. I just wrote everything out and whatever, and then Facebook is incredible. It's terrible, but it's also an amazing tool to be able to connect with artists. And since
Mhm.
lockdown, I've been connecting with artists and doing short stories. And you know, I got my artist Hanan on board, and I got my colorist Damien on board, and then I just shot it out to every publisher I could. And like there's some interest, but a lot of people were just like not really feeling it. And then I connected with Edge Comics. They were looking for work. Connected with Chance, and really good. I mean, not the you know they're not the biggest publishing company, but they're really supportive. And being alone in a room writing for just weeks and months on end, and just for generally, you know, not really having anything published yet, it's a godsend. It's lovely. It's lovely having this support, being able to for him to connect with you. Just having that support is a fantastic thing as a writer. Yeah, I mean, I've got another comic that's being published, but it's not published yet. So it's really nice to have that support. Yeah.
Mhm. Would you say so this one's more like a one shot? Like just one story, not something with multiple chapters, or
Oh, what view of Phoenix Trees?
Mhm.
So it's a mini series. So four issues.
Ooh.
Four issues. So
Ooh.
and they're sort of done in sort of because it's so I really, you know, it's mythology and it's got this kind of natural quality and element to it. So I wanted to tell it in four chapters, and each chapter representing actually the seasons, one different season. So just the vibe and also the setting
Mhm.
informs that chapter. So yeah,
Awesome. Are you biased towards a season?
I like the colors of autumn. I really do like the
Uh,
colors of autumn. It's my kind of thing. Yeah, but you
my
know,
sister
each
loves
one
them.
it's like mediums though. It's like film, TV, books, prose, whatever you want to say, theater. Every medium has its strengths and its weaknesses. So I do think, you know, sometimes things don't need to be remade in a medium. Sometimes there was a reason why I don't know, like Winter Soldier was written by Edward Brubaker as a comic. There's a reason why it's there. There's another reason why, like, I don't know, like well, that's not good. Like the reason why Fight Club was a book, even though actually David Fincher's version of Fight Club is amazing, the film. But there's also a reason why it was written as a book as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's I like
Mhm.
every kind of medium for their strengths. Yeah.
I actually didn't know Fight Club was a book first.
Oh, you got to read it. It's so good.
Apparently, I
It's
have to
so
see the
wit.
movie too.
Oh, you
I haven't
totally
seen
need to.
it.
Oh, it's so good. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's on my list.
I wouldn't say favorite, but it's just if you're gonna have to put a gun to my head, it's just a very good, interesting, smart film. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to check out the book too. Add it to my list as well. Woohoo! Mm. So, was there some sort of like inspiration that had you made this decision of wanting to put the story out there, or is it something like you just wanted to do, like for a long time?
Just want to do it for a long time, and I'm a storyteller, so I just like creating stories, you know, and generating story. And I've already realized that, you know, even if this doesn't sell, if whatever thing, I'll still generate story because it's what I do. It's how I function. It's how I make sense of the world. You know, I just love story. I love craft. It's just really fun. And that's why like coming on here is really awesome to talk, because it's just fun to talk about something that you've spent so long and that actual people are interested by. Because, you know, you sit in your office at work and your colleagues don't give a fuck. They don't really care. They don't get it. They don't understand comics or story. They kind of, you know, they're watching, I don't know, they're watching like some crap on TV or whatever like that, and that's their version of that. But like, I know for me, you know, I want to hear what my peers, how they overcome problems and issues and obstacles with writing and things like that. And I want to tell people how I have done that and things like that. So yeah. But it as well, it's quite a melting pot, this one. Obviously, normally I just want one artist. It's just simpler and easier. But I was really happy that I connected with Damien as a colorer, and then obviously Chance as a publisher. But then I also, because music is so important to me, I've also hired John Piper, who's a composer, and I've done a soundtrack for the comic, for the first issue, at least so far. So I'm going to put like a link in the title page when you fold it over, so you can put that on, and it'll be free, and you can listen to the music while you're reading it. And I think it's a really special soundtrack. It's a really good soundtrack that captures the feeling of the story, and will just help you really get into it, I think, more.
Ah, that's so exciting. I've gotten a few comics or manga that did the same thing, and it's just like an experience, just listening and then reading it, and you're like, wow, it just like pops off the page.
Because I remember reading Pride of Baghdad by Brian K. Vaughan, and I love that comic. And I remember like one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite artists came on, and it just like finished just as I finished reading, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It just perfectly sort of like bookended it, and just like last sentence, full stop. It was just, yeah, a really beautiful moment. So yeah, I kind of wanted to emulate that. And so yeah, and with a couple of other projects, I'm also thinking about doing that as well.
Nice. Reese is asking, how many pages will the first issue be, the first chapter?
Sure, yeah. 22 pages, some additional extras as well at the end, hopefully just like stories about stuff I'm saying now about how the story came to be, and maybe some like sketches, some character designs, but 22. So the whole thing about sort of 88 pages. And then with the Kickstarter, what we're going to do as well is obviously you got rewards. We want to give you sort of something if you want to really support the comic, and if you want more bits, I can totally give you that. So we have 4 different covers by insanely good, awesome artists, which is, you know, the cover that you're seeing now. That's not the interior art, but that's the one. His name is Vincent Riccardi, and he works a lot with the image and stuff like that. So we managed to get him. Ooh. And then there's Stan Yak and Jimbo bad with pronunciation of names.
Same.
Salgado. But basically, we got 3 other artists, special guest artists doing covers. So there's that, and so you can get them. There's sort of metal covers, full special edition metal covers. We've got behind the scenes additional kind of work, like real pictures of who the characters are based on, character design, sketches. I've got a small bundle of short stories that won some awards in Tales from the Dispatch. So there's some short comics that I did during lockdown. And also, I'm a spoken word artist. So I write poetry and I perform poetry. And I will happily, if people make requests, they can do it on the Kickstarter. I'll write you a poem customized with whatever subject you want. Give me 2 weeks to write it, and then I'll perform it for you.
Mangoes.
Give me 2 weeks. I'll write something about mangoes for you, honestly. And there'll be a video on there to show that you're not just paying for someone who doesn't know how to write spoken word poetry. I'll put a post of my videos on. In fact, if you want, I can spit some rhymes for you now if you want.
Let's do it.
Okay, all right, okay. No, I wanted to do this one. This one's called A Life in Panels and Pages, about 5 minutes. Is that okay? I don't want to
That's
go too long.
okay.
And yeah, this is just a spoken word poem that I wrote about comics. I've been into comics since I was a kid, before all this Marvel DC adaptation bullshit hit. Forget film and TV moving images, it's all about the unified synergy of words and pictures. A literary super team up, creating fictions to rapture imaginations. Through school uniform and black tie work, I've always had my head between pages, forged with the intelligent craftsmanship of artists, writer, creatives. These 24-page coloured bits of paper have shared space with me through the ages, but there are four landmark reads that bookmark my life in stages. The first comic I'd like to mention is the dystopian political page-turner Transmetropolitan, with a futuristic Hunter S. Thompson as its main character. I brought this comic with me, luckily, on hour-plus long-haul journeys to work as a customer service monkey at a call centre company the other side of the city. Cattle-cramped carriages and commuter silences faded into the background, with my imagination spellbound. Because these comics are more than just paper and ink. They're linked to a safe space where my head can think and wait for the darker things on my plate to dissipate. My second selection is the zombie survival saga of The Walking Dead, which swam in my slipstream across 2 different decades as separate reading events. I began reading when my hopes of a film career got dashed, like the blood on the windshield of a car crash. And on the rebound found work in an obscene bar and grill team whose employment stunk like a scorched earth slaughter regime. A neighbouring graveyard gave me garden harmony to sit and read on my tea break. My back sunk against the bark of a maple tree's trunk. Because these comics are more than just paper and ink. They're linked to a safe space where my head can think and wait for the darker things on my plate to dissipate. The next time I picked up The Walking Dead was a million miles from home, in Melbourne, Australia, on a working holiday visa on my own. I was stuck between the termite-crawling walls of a hostel, with new strangers coming and going with the consistency of a brothel. Each day, each room had bodies piled high overhead, so I'd find privacy in pages with the curtains drawn to my bunk bed. Some nights I'd escape on the city's tram lines, comic under my arm, to meet strangers on dates and stay out till dawn's morning would wake. Because these comics are more than just paper and ink. They're linked to a safe space where my head can think and wait for the darker things on my plate to dissipate. The next comic book is the anti-superhero commentary called The Boys, which occupied a large portion of my young adult life, like background noise. I bought the first $2.99 issue on my first week of university, when the leaves dressed in an autumn-coloured burgundy. For 7 years each month, this comic kept me company, like the clockwork visits of a separated parent mindful of custody. Through sandpaper breakups on campus halls and through hangover wake-up calls on shared house kitchen floors. Because these comics are more than just paper and ink. They're linked to a safe space where my head can think and wait for the darker things on my plate to dissipate. My final comic is the fantasy western known as Preacher, whose sunburnt pages encapsulate the perfect story for any reader. I grew up reading this comic on my cousin's acrylic carpet floor after borrowing it from his extensive comic collection drawer. While him and his collective crew would play games of FIFA World Tour, I'd be left in the corner and ignored, a cast-out orphan, but delving deep into this comic's allure. And as I grew older, my love for this comic endured. Reading it became an annual ritual of the tallest order. My usual plan is a Christmas read, as the snow paints the land, wearing striped fingerless gloves to warm my hands. Because friends and relationships come and go, but comics have never left me in a park on my own. For a lone ranger like me, prone to isolation necessity, our relationship is a lifelong fixture. I can always curl into a corner with pages between my fingers, to be enveloped in a resplendent world of words and pictures. Because these comics are more than just paper and ink. Their panels and pages are synced to the lifeblood coursing through my veins. So we travel in parallel lanes through the pain and mundane of the day-to-day strains and journey forward through future gale force winds and rain until the end of my life's reign. Thank you.
That was wonderful. That was so amazing.
So
If only I was like that.
if you want a spoken word poem written for me, please feel free to give for the comic, and I will write you a spoken word poem, and I'll get you my comic as well. So
Woohoo! Bravo, brava!
you guys for listening.
Thank you
Um,
for letting us hear.
yeah, so Kickstarter starting sort of mid-September,
Ooh.
and you can find it sort of on just type into Google, Kickstarter, the view of the Phoenix trees, and it'll pop up. And yeah, we'd love.
Luckily, I have it on my description and I have it pinned onto the link so anybody can click on it and just save it. So it's a little bit easier. Thank you, social media.
Is it so? Are you into sort of fantasy-based comics? What's your kind of like taste like? That's your thing.
Yes. I
No,
delve into as many genres as I can. I will like read literally about anything and everything, which I feel like that's what I've been doing ever since like I don't even like sci-fi that much, but I can get into sci-fi comics no problem, which I
Saga,
think is
right?
weird. Yeah, I have that on my list. I have not gotten it yet, but like for a lot of indies, mostly
Yeah.
I've been I do buy like Marvel DC comics, but I have been more into the Kickstarter Indiegogo
Sure.
crowdfunding comic books. One of
Mm.
them is by John Dexter, who me and Dead Guy's Productions over here, we both interviewed, and I believe it was his first sci-fi, and it's kind of like a Star Wars. Like there's so many 80s references, and I was born in the 90s, so I can't name them
Yeah.
all, but I was like, I like this, let me get it. I'm
I
always
don't
like
really,
into it.
because I'm part of some comic Discord groups and stuff like that, and people are always talking about. And I like, there's some stories I like by Marvel and DC, but I pick
Mhm.
out artists and generally writers who I like. And then
Yes.
people are talking about next Spider-Man thing and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't care. I
I don't
I like
care.
Image. Like 70% of my comics are Image. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like that.
Yes.
Like I prefer more independent stuff. I just do. If,
Hmm.
if you're gonna grab my, there's a couple of people who grab my attention occasionally, but a lot of times
Yes.
I'm just a little bit disappointed.
Hmm. It's true. I'll buy anything, almost anything from Daniel Warren Johnson, though. I just love
Oh
his Marvel
yeah.
DC work, his independent work. I'm like, it's a hit, hit, hit every single time.
Have you read the Transformers? His Transformers
No, but
run?
everybody's been talking about it, and I
I know
want
I
it.
haven't read it yet, but it's on my list, man. Totally. And what was the independent one he did that was amazing?
I believe
With
it
the
was a wrestling one he did. I know that one
No, I've
exists.
got that on my list as well. No, the one that's
Yes.
kind of sci-fi, and they're
Um.
living in different, like, and there's like I can't, you know what I mean though. It's like a weird
Yes.
dystopian sort of like
Yes. Yes.
sci-fi.
Yes.
Uh,
It was also
um,
post-apocalyptic, wasn't
yeah,
it?
but and
Oh
plus, yeah,
no.
you know exactly
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That introduced me to him, and I was like, oh, I've totally got to read this guy more often. This is amazing.
Yes. And a Dead Guy's Production agrees. New Transformers is bad A.
Hello. Thank you. Awesome. I'm glad you
This guy
agree.
does audio comics. I'm usually like a voice actor for him on his
Oh wow, that's
channel.
really
Hmm.
cool.
And
This
sometimes
is this.
he'll appear.
So this is one thing I really like enjoying going on like shows as well, and doing this is like a connecting with the comic community. Like I wouldn't know that
Yes.
before. You know what I mean? Like you'll have to give me your socials and things like that so I can follow as well and things.
Hmm.
I mean that sounds really awesome. Audio comics. That sounds awesome,
Hmm.
man. Because
He did a
I
lot of Alien ones.
ah I can imagine you as a cool alien assassin.
I played an android, and then I just finished playing a mother. And so I'm also he's redoing his older ones with because he
Mm.
now is getting new voice actors. So I'm gonna be playing one named Iris from the older Alien comics from back in the day. I say back in
Cool.
the day as if it was like super old, but it's not. So I'm pretty excited for that. Yay! Oh, and I
Nice.
forgot to say hello to people in the chat. I apologize. Hello, Dead
Hello.
Guy. Hello, Reese.
Hey
Hello,
guys.
Pops. He usually does do high buys, so he's not here anymore. And hello, Sassy. Welcome, Sassy. Yay.
Thanks for listening. Awesome.
Yes, and Dead Guy says he's quite interested in this story as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'll have my socials and like if ever any of you guys want to email me any questions or anything, feel free to. I like to, obviously I'm trying to do like a just a kind of letters column at the back of my comics as well, so people can kind of just ask any
Ooh.
questions if they want to things to appear in future comics that I write. Feel free to. I've got another comic called Monsters in Your Head, which is about a little girl who has the worst superpower ever. Whenever she's scared or thinks of monsters, they appear and they scare the shit out of her.
Ooh.
But I didn't mean to promote. I didn't mean to self promote that one as well. But my point is,
No,
at the
please
end,
self promote. You are a creator. Promote your works. People
well,
want to hear them.
that's coming out under Blood Moon Publishing Comics or Horror Publishing Comics in October. And my thing at the back of it is if I can get a new, because I've got three issues published so far, and if I can get I've got another story arc ready, another 2 issues of that, and if I can get that made with enough people buying the comic, whatever suggestions you have for monsters, write into me, and I will get my artist to draw them for you. Apart from
Let's go.
maybe genital monsters. Well, we'll see how funny it is, but but there'll be some limits on there. But if it's an awesome monster that I think's really cool, I will get my artist to draw it in the comic. So
Yes.
I like to respond to what you guys want
Yes.
because
And this is
hopefully
what we enjoy.
because I was that guy who was always like, yes, this is amazing, or yes, I want to see this in that. So yeah, totally want to connect with the comic community, and maybe see you guys at festivals and stuff. I mean, I'm probably not going to be out in America at some point. I'll try to be, but like if in the UK, like there's one coming up. So I'll probably be at that, like Comic-Con in the UK and places like that. I would love to be
Nice.
to San Diego, though. That'd be amazing. Have you been?
No, I've never really traveled outside of Florida.
Fair enough. I mean,
I
it
will
is
soon.
but it is totally like, it's such a commitment, isn't it? So it's like,
Hmm.
yeah,
And the prices today are like crazy.
yeah. Well, it just finished, didn't it? Comic-Con in San Diego, didn't it? I think it just finished and stuff.
Yes.
'Cause
I think a few days ago.
I saw all this feed from all my favorite writers, like comic writers, being like, like pictures and stuff. So yeah.
It's always so nice to see. I You lived in San Diego for 1.5 years. I didn't
Oh
know that.
wow.
Nice.
I've not actually
Don't
been
come
to San
here.
Diego either. Not at all. I've been LA, Vegas, and San Francisco, but I
Ooh,
haven't been. Yeah, I think it's funny
nice.
how like all you guys want to come over to the UK because because you find it interesting and stuff. We've got culture and history and stuff, but all of us we just want to go over to America. We just want to hang out with you guys. So it's grass is always greener, I
It's
guess. Maybe.
true. I was like, oh, I'm going to visit the UK, but not the rainy part. I want to visit the sunny part.
Well, I don't know if that exists. I'm not sure. I think that is. I think that's a myth, to be honest.
What? No. I was told that one area of London, I don't remember if it was like north or south or whatever, tends to rain more than another direction of London.
Well, yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
was like,
I lived in London for 17 years. I'm in Manchester at the minute just because I needed a break
ooh,
from London. But yeah, it's sunny all down in London at the minute. But here, it is grey. It is
oh my.
cold. I've got a hoodie on. Like it's. I can kind of understand why everyone's so happy in LA, even if it's a false happiness. At least they're warm and cozy, and they're sitting outside reading their comics. So yeah. So
In
you want
Florida, we're
you
just burning. We're just burning. It's so hot in here.
So how long have you been doing the show for anyway? I had a little look and I watched a couple of your episodes and things. It was cool, but I just wondered how long it was going for.
My indie interviews?
Yeah.
Oh, 2-ish years. I, I somebody asked me that a while ago, and I'm like, yeah, okay, let me just research, and I'll totally remember, and I forget instantly. I think 2 or 3 years. It's gotta be. I know I had a YouTube account for much longer, but didn't start until later. So 2 or 3
Mm.
years, I want to say. Oh yeah, Dead Guy also says 2 3 years. So around that
Yeah.
time,
I guess
it's
it must
been
be so.
fun.
I guess it must be so good as well because you get the lowdown on new stuff as well. Like you can interview people and you're like, oh, new comic, you know?
Yes, every single time. I can't back every single one because
No, of
sometimes I'm
course.
like interviewing 2 3 people at a time, and they all end at the same time, and I'm like, ooh, that's a pain on my wallet. So I'm just gonna look for yours later because like I end up saving them on a little folder. So I'm like, okay, I
Sure.
got money. I can now buy them at the website and all that stuff. Oh, which reminds me, how would the shipping be? Is this a place in the UK, the publishing company?
No, because it's Edge Comics and they're in
Mhm.
the US, so you shouldn't have
Mm.
some mental kind of. It's only going to be me who gets them shipped out to me. It's going to be like mental publishing. No, no, it's not. And also my other comic as well. That's a US publisher as well. So you should probably get pretty kind of standard. I think the actual. In fact, I can probably tell you. Actually, I can tell you the shipping. Actually, if you'd like.
Yes. $5 to fifteen
Yes.
dollars. $5 to $15.
I mean, I mean, okay, so Canada's cheaper, that's why. So Canada for like two
Ah,
books is like $3. For one book, it's like $2. For the rest of the world, which I guess includes the US, it's $5, $6,
that's great.
$7. So it's not really that pricey. I was quite surprised actually when I found the prices and stuff. Yeah, so it's pretty doable anyway.
Nice. Oh, do you know if there's also going to be, is it just going to be physical copies or will you also have digital copies?
No, we'll have digital, definitely digital, yeah. Because I mean it's just easier. I mean I used to be a big collector. I got boxes and
Hmm.
boxes, but I move around a lot, and I don't own a home, so I've gone to digital because it's just easier. I can't deal with it, so I want to give that to anyone in my position as well, you know. But there'll be a lot once the Kickstarter comes up in September, mid September. You'll see all the rewards, and there's quite a lot of different kind of things that you can get. Yeah, digital copies, signed copies, things like that. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds very exciting. I'm the same way. I still get physical comics, but many times I'm just like, let me just get digital. If you guys end up having a trade paperback, I'll buy that instead. But I don't have any more space for floppies.
Well, we're basically seeing because obviously I've got like my artist is actually working on like the first issue now, so we're just kind of finishing it off, and we're just going to see how much kind of we raise really to see if if we could do all four issues back to back, that'd be great. But if not, we might have to do another Kickstarter. I mean, just to say as well, I don't really like taking money off people. Like so with my
Nobody
other
does.
yeah, with my other comic, I just paid for it myself because I could. I mean,
Oh.
with this one, I couldn't, and also like I've got a one shot I'm doing at the minute, and
Mhm.
I'm just I've got a second job, so I work bar at the
Oh.
weekends, and that just pays to pay because the thing is obviously Kickstarter it's beautiful creating a community and things like that,
Mhm.
but I couldn't do like 3 or 4 Kickstarters at the same time just because it's so stressful. And you want a
Mhm.
sure thing, you know, you want to just be able to go to an artist and just give them money and then pay. But obviously with a Kickstarter, it's you got to make the money and things like that. And obviously, I'm really hoping that this will. But like, I couldn't imagine having like 3 or 4 Kickstarters on the go because it'd be so stressful. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'll just pay for it myself and do it. But like stuff like this, which is obviously 4 issues, I just can't. I don't have the money. So
It's
yeah,
understandable. I know a lot of people like that. How much is the goal? Is it like around 2K?
yeah. I mean, um,
Less than 3K? 5K?
I mean the goal is about yeah. I think we've placed it lower than than exactly what we want, but like I think it's about 2 or 1
Mhm.
potentially. But obviously, as much as we can get, really. That's obviously keeping we're keeping the it lower just so we can get something out of it and then create something. And I think the first issue shouldn't be a problem, but it's whether we can get 2 or 3 or 4 out of it. We'll see. But
Nice.
obviously, we just do another Kickstarter and learn from this one, and hopefully give you stuff that you want, everyone wants.
It's always a learning experience.
Yeah. I mean, this is a learning experience. I've not really done a podcast comic interview sort of raising awareness and advertising comic before. So I was just like, I'll go into this one and I'll learn from it. We'll see what happens. And you've
Yes.
been absolutely pleasantly amazing. You've been a very nice person to talk to. So that's really good.
Apparently, and I will brag about this. I am
Cool.
considered one of the more fun podcasts because I am not really as professional. I'm not as strict. I can let people talk. There's no time limit. It's just whenever I am drained out, or if the guest is drained out, and then we'll just end it right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Or
mean,
they have fun.
whenever you're ready, I'm happy to keep going. I'm happy to close. I'm pretty chill, all good. And I think that you're right about that. Like some of my favorite podcasts I listen to, like Mark Maron, things like that, they're
Hmm.
just really chill. So they just it's just like having a little chat with a friend, and that's kind of what people want to hear. And obviously, you get better information from me because I'm not stressed out. From guests, they're going to say juicier things. So yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. And that's what we love. Regretting right now. No, don't regret that guy. Oh, so I was told that,
Yeah,
and you yourself have said that you are a writer, a poet, and you are
yeah.
also a letterer. How is the lettering process?
Yeah. That's a good one. Actually, I didn't put that on my notes to talk to you about. So actually, yeah, you're on it. Yeah, I mean, I got into comics, and I really didn't want to pay a letterer. I didn't want more. I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to save up more money. So, and I'm a DIY guy. I just wanted to do it myself. And you know what's
Mm-hmm.
happened from making short comics and doing this? I love lettering. It's an art form. It's really good. It's really fun, and it adds so much to, you know, you can help your artist in so many ways. I mean, a lot of the time it's actually leaving it letter free and just letting their art just show themselves off. But I love that I have that additional control, that I don't just work with a letterer as well, but actually I'm the letterer. And so I have another pass on the script. Sometimes I'll take bits out, I'll reread what I've written, I'll be like, and I'll put the lettering on there. And I'll just think, no, it doesn't need it. I can cut that because actually what it needs to be done is show the artist's work. The artist's work does it anyway. I mean, most people read comics. I mean, yes, obviously we read it for great writing and stuff, but primarily it's the visual because that's going to capture you. And I've heard a lot of things from Brian Michael Bendis speaking about the same thing, and I do agree with him that sometimes it's just good to step away. And so I like being able to be that person who can do that. And and it's just really inventive. Like if you look at Richard Starkins, the guy who did the lettering for Elephant Man, he's like
Mm-hmm.
won the Eisner Award for letterer like a million times. And if you just look at his lettering in like, for instance, in Battle Chasers, Joe Madora's Battle Chasers, if you look at his
Mm-hmm.
lettering in Elephant Man, it's just so interesting and plush and innovative and just really brings across character and the way they're saying it. So I try. I mean, I'm nowhere near that. I'm nowhere near that. But like,
You'll
it
get
really,
there.
yeah. But it inspires me totally, and I do try and spend a lot of time on the lettering just to kind of get that. It's not just perfunctory for me. I want to really embody the characters, and I love, like for instance, like Ben Temple Smith, the
Mm-hmm.
artist of 30 Days of Night. I love his lettering, and I think, yeah, because I swear he does his own lettering as well. I mean, I love his art as well, but his
Mm-hmm.
lettering works so well with his art. It just completely meshes together and creates this cohesive kind of piece of art. So yeah.
Oh, so not everybody here knows a lot about
Well,
comics. Right now we have Sassy Butt over here
yeah.
saying, "What is a
Sorry,
letterer?"
should have probably said, yeah, I can introduce that. So the letterer is the person who comes up with the text and the sound effects, all, yeah, everything that's kind of written on the page as comics. So, you know, the script writer will pass it to a letterer after the pages have been done. after they've been drawn. And then it's not just usually, in this case, it is me, or I'm the writer and I also do the lettering. But in a lot of cases, after the writer has written a script, given it to the artist to draw it, the letterer will come along and put those words on the script onto the page on top of the artwork in bubbles, in captions, sound effects, whatever.
Door
So
openings.
yeah, absolutely. So that's what a letterer does. Yeah, and it's sort of like the quiet unsung hero, or you're a good letterer if your work isn't really noticed. If it goes on in the background, it isn't noticed, then you're kind of like, oh, I've done a good job, because the reader is so into the story.
Encapsulated.
Yeah, so encapsulated with the story that, you know. So yeah, it's a weird, interesting kind of role, I think.
We love talking about lettering here.
Mhm.
Oh, Dead Guy says, FYI, I offer indie creators trailer editing. I guess
Oh
for the
wow,
future. Hmm.
cool.
He's an editor, so he does like a lot of editing and stuff.
Ah.
Awesome. Oh, and it also says that you worked in and out of the film and TV industry for the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah, so this was a note that I had on my. I was going to talk to you about, but I didn't want to drop it. Just randomly drop it in there. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, my background is I went to film school, so I
Ooh.
specialized. I did BA. I did a BA in film and TV production, and so I
Mhm.
specialized in writing, and then also set decoration and design. And so, and I got some, and I made quite a lot of short films that won some awards, some little short kind of films, horror films,
Oh,
and things like that.
congrats!
It was good. I don't have my I should have shown my award. Anyway, it's back at home with my parents. I haven't got it, but I did that for a bit, and then I went and did a master's at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama,
Mhm.
um, which was studying theatre and more writing
Mhm.
and getting more in depth with writing. But then also after I finished university, got work at the BBC as a PA. So I was helping out with. Does anyone remember? You might not. It's like a UK thing. It's called the Jonathan Ross Show. Jonathan Ross is like this film
I believe I
critic.
heard
He
of
used to
it.
have a show, and he used to have like lots of celebrities. So I would look after dressing rooms and the show generally, and then I became a prop man, and I worked on second series of Black Mirror, and I also worked on
Ooh.
Kick-Ass 2 as well.
When you
Um,
say Black Mirror, you mean the UK version, right?
yeah, I think it goes to
Ooh.
the US series 3, but I worked on series 2 on one of the sort of on location on series 2.
Mhm.
So it was interesting. I mean, it kind of burnt out, and I don't do it anymore. I don't really like it. A lot of comic writers and artists want to go into the film industry. I don't really want to. I'm not really into it. I just like sitting in front of a desk and writing and working on stories, really. And I was a script reader as well for a bit of time for some production companies, and that was really good, understanding story and breaking story down and kind of saying this is good, this is bad, this needs work. Um, I just love story, yeah. So it just that was really helpful. So I worked on that. I worked for a little bit on that, yeah.
How did it feel to start with like a film TV like script format to a comic
Cool.
book format? Or do you use the same for when you're doing
Sure.
both?
No, there are differences certainly. I mean, I use a film program to write because it's just easier. I use Final Draft rather than Word because it's just easier because it formats it for me. But inherently, yes. I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier about different mediums. I mean, I write theatre as well. I write some plays. I mean, I haven't been published or anything, but at my university and my on my in my masters, I wrote a lot of theatre and things like that. So it for me, it's really interesting going through and writing different scripts because I've written radio plays and they've got a different
Ooh.
format. I've written theatre that's got a different format. I've written screenplays, different format, and then you've got comics, different format. And I have to say, I don't know why I do, but I find my stories come out better when I write comics. And I think
Mm.
that is down to the way that you have to write a comic script. Before you even get to the comic script, you have to do a rough, a rough outline, whatever you want to say. And then you have to
Mhm.
do page breakdown. Then you have to do a panel breakdown. So of what's in every single thing. So I think it's just more meticulous because when I write scripts or screenplays, I still do, you know, outlines and I do treatments and things, but my stories never come out as good. Whereas I think comics, you have to just you have to structure it so regimentedly that by the time I get to the script stage, I just know my story so well. I know exactly what's going in each panel. Um, so I just love it. I mean, I hadn't made comics. I only started making, I'm 36 years old. I only started making comics like in lockdown. So that's a couple of years ago, like when I was like early 30s. And I just was like, why have I not been making comics since? I love comics. I was like, screw theater, screw film, screw all of that. I don't want to do any of that. I literally just want to make comics for the rest of my life, and I'm happy. And like that was a really, like, I know there was a lot of people, there was a lot of tragedy during lockdown. I'm not debating that. A lot of
Of
people lost a
course.
lot of people, but for me, I had the time to do work that I never got to before, and I just found something that I loved. And so, yeah, comics is for me, man. Yeah.
Oh, and it probably takes like a lot of time, takes out a good chunk of the day for any type of script writing, writing down ideas.
Yeah, I mean, after I get off call with you, I'm going to write a little one shot. I think I'm going to carry on writing a little one shot that I've got in my head about mental health and stuff. But yeah, it does. But that's the difference between doing it. I would have to do like 15-hour days, 12-hour days as a prop man, and you're just really a removals man with a great paycheck and get to be on set, but you are just a removals man. Whereas I will sit down and write for 15 hours, 12 hours. I don't mind because I get to go into these amazing worlds that I get to create that are mine, or that I get to share with other collaborators, and they get to make it better. Like and I think everyone will agree with me here. The best thing in the world as a comic creator is literally you pass a script to an artist and they give you a page back, and the page is better than what you came up with. And that's the best feeling. And I've had it a couple of times.
Mhm.
You're just like, you guys are magicians. Yeah. So, you know,
That's amazing. I was wondering, do you think you're also going to be getting putting in some more comic book work where you add Chinese or Vietnamese mythology, like adding more of that work out there?
I have something, a one shot that I'm working on at the minute.
How
And
many one shots
it's,
do you have?
I
You got
got, I
like
got,
50?
I just love making stories, you know. I just love it, man. It's just why, you know, apart from going out raving, having fun as well, they're just like sitting there writing. I just like it. But
I'm waiting
I've
for
got this
all these
one.
100 one shots.
I got no. This is the only one shot I'm making. This is the one I'm making at the minute. Honestly, I'm waiting for my artist to just be finished because he's got some. I think he's got some deadlines. So he was supposed to start at the beginning of August, but
Oh,
he's a little bit behind. But this is
deadline
like a
suck.
story of there's a Vietnamese myth about the
Mm.
Ong Do, which are like
Mm.
three. It's like a love triangle of three people, and they have this tragic kind of romantic love story tragedy happen to them, and then what they do
Mm.
is they get turned into these three gods of the kitchen, who look after people. Uh, they look after the home. They're basically gods who look after the home, and that's why you'll see Vietnamese people and even Chinese. It kind of overflows into Chinese mythology as well. It's kind of very similar, but it is Vietnamese. But you'll see people giving gifts at New Year's, the
Yes.
beginning of the sort of lunar year, and the reason is for them because they want good luck. They want these gods, these kitchen gods, to bless their home. So my story is retelling that story, but then we find these gods in their own in their own restaurant, and they're trying to get all these uh, reports done for about the whole of the Vietnamese population, to say to the Jade Emperor, who's like God, to say to him, these people get good luck, these people get bad luck. But one of the chefs is trying to get that done, get all the reports done. Another chef is trying to clean the kitchen because there's these giant mutated cockroaches in there, these cosmological cockroaches in there, and he's trying to keep it clean. He's trying to sort out everything. And while another god, he's met this little boy who's been hurt and injured, and he's just trying to give him some food and feed him. And it's kind of
Oh.
about this old kind. It's about this kind of old mythology meets new Western culture, and the idea that they're kind of polyamorous. These new gods, they're also kind of like award-winning chefs, but yet just like kind of the Greek tradition, they're kind of flawed and fucked up and messed up, and it all happens in just one comic.
Nice. Didn't they loosely make a horror film with that concept? That sounds interesting. If they
Well,
did, I would want
maybe
to
who
read it.
knows?
I'll watch it.
This is more fantasy, but that sounds really interesting
Ooh,
from a horror perspective. But no, yeah, it's a little bit different.
nice. I'm looking forward to all of this work. You got any more in your notes? My notes are done.
I think mine are done too. Yeah, I think I've gone through pretty much everything there. But yeah, it's really good chatting. Anyway,
Dang
I
it,
thought,
dead
oh,
guy.
of course, it's a Korean film. Of course, do you know what I mean?
I can't watch them. They're too scary. That and Thai horror films are insane. I
Yeah.
can't. All right. Oh, let's get your socials.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
sure. So
So,
wait, how do you want me to do this?
okay. So, where can people find you if they would like to follow you and or contact you?
Sure. So you can email me if you want to chat to me that way. You can email me on snake87sw at googlemail.com.
I've never heard of that before. Google Mail.
Yeah, it's like an old one from ages ago. I like resurrected this old email address. It's now just Gmail, I know, yeah. But it's Google Mail. My Insta is snake87 SMW. My
I
Facebook,
just realized, are they both all one? Is it all one word or is it multiple
yeah. So
words?
it's like. In fact, you know what? I should probably just message you these in the chat, shouldn't I? Really?
Haha, I got it. Dang it, you write so fast.
It's a lot of writing. And then my Facebook is my real name, which I'll never tell. No, I'm joking. My real name is Scott Matthew Watson. There you go. And I
Hmm.
think I've got a Tumblr actually as well, which is
Tumblr.
yeah, it's like a so
I
you
have
can
not
just
logged into my Tumblr in such a long time. I don't even know. Well, no, I still have an account. I deactivated it, but it's not a deletion, just in case. I
yeah.
just want to come back.
And
Bu- bu- bu-
that's just like short comics on there, yeah, as well, and bits and pieces that I'm posting. But yeah, you can reach me on any of those. Feel free to. Don't be afraid to message me if you've got any questions or anything. Taking an interest in the comic. I'm a pretty open book, so always happy to have a chat.
Oh, I realized.
Mm.
Are you still active on social media? Because I saw for some that you haven't been active since 2023.
Yeah, I mean, on Tumblr, I haven't messaged anything for a while because I've had no new comics really. On
Mhm,
Facebook, I use Messenger. I don't really
mhm.
use Facebook because I do think it is the devil, and it'll just like it'll make you unhappy by just checking all those. And try not to look at the. But I mean, Instagram I do, but that's
Mhm.
because in my feed, all it consists of is awesome art by artists I love and animal
Ooh,
videos. So it just makes me happy looking at Insta because of that.
I can concur. That stuff also makes me happy. All right, so I've got them saved, and shoot, they won't let me add it on here, so I'll have to add it when we press end stream.
No
So
problem.
I'll do that as soon as I can. All right, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Again, this is a pre launch, so it is not going to be launched until September. And for the people who just came in, would you mind explaining the what the comic is about again?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So, yeah, View of the Phoenix Trees. It's a kind of fantasy biopic. It basically details my grandparents meeting. My grandfather being Chinese, my grandmother being Vietnamese, meeting in Vietnam, living through the Vietnam War, then being exiled out of the country, living on a boat for 6 months, trying to go to Shanghai, ending up being dumped in a camp in Macau for 2 years, then finally settling in the UK. And paralleling that story, paralleling my grandparents' story, is Loch Lang Kwai and his fairy princess, and the creation story of Vietnam, and how those two kind of stories kind of intertwine and parallel and are very similar. And that's the story. That's what it's about. Hope you can read it.
I'm so excited for it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you, audience members, for stopping by as well.
Thank you.
Make sure you like, subscribe if you're into this type of stuff, and make sure you share the video. If not, share the link to the Kickstarter. I'm dying. It's okay. So, all right, guys, have a nice day, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.